U.S. President Theodore Roosevelt famously said, "Speak quietly, but carry a big stick." Roosevelt was talking about his country's foreign policy, but he could have been talking about Dave Andreychuk, who used this ideology to score more than 600 career goals in the NHL.
Here's Andreychuk trying that wraparound. He scores! Andreychuk!
Selected 16th overall in the 1982 entry draft by the Buffalo Sabres, he would spend 11 seasons in the Queen City. His 368 goals is third all-time in franchise history. His 804 points ranks only behind fellow Hockey Hall of Famer Gilbert Perreault. In February of 1993, Andreychuk was dealt to the Toronto Maple Leafs. He would go on to set a career high in goals that year with 54, including a league-leading 32 power play goals. Taking advantage of his size, strength, and skill, he was an immovable object in front of opposing goaltenders. It wasn't always pretty, but no one in the history of the NHL was better with the man advantage. Andreychuk's 274 power play goals is the most all-time in NHL regular season history. In 2001, a Stanley Cup was one of the few accomplishments that had eluded the high-scoring left winger, and he surprised many in the hockey world by signing with the up-and-coming Tampa Bay Lightning. 3 years later, Andreychuk helped guide the young team to the franchise's first-ever Stanley Cup. 21 years after making his NHL debut, Dave Andreychuk lived the moment that every kid dreams about.
Dave Andreychuk has waited a long time for this trophy. I'm proud to present it, Dave, to you and your teammates.
In 1,639 career games, Dave Andreychuk scored 640 goals, 14th all-time in NHL history. His ability to find the back of the net constantly over 23 NHL seasons established him as one of the best left wingers in the history of the game. And Dave Andreychuk is a welcomed addition to the Hockey Hall of Fame, class of 2017.
To present Dave Andreychuk's Hall of Fame plaque, honored member Mike Gardner.
Are you guys ready for about 20 minutes? 23 seasons. Tough to get it in a short time. Lots of people to thank. Wow, there's some good-looking people out here. Good-looking people. First off, when you think about the journey that starts, right? You think about how you're going to achieve this. Nobody thinks that I want to be a Hall of Famer. Nobody thinks that that's where I want to be. I want to be in the Hall. You think about just trying to play in the NHL. You think about just trying to make your team better. Well, lots of it is about who's with you and how you get there and the circle that you have around you. I want to first congratulate all the fellow inductees. It's been an awesome, awesome weekend. I've enjoyed it immensely. So has my family. As you know, I got a lot of them. It starts with my wife. It starts with her. She's the one that day in, day out, good times and bad times, always had a smile on her face. When I came home, whether we won or lost, not much changed. I thank you very much for what you've done. My 3 daughters and my youngest one picked out my outfit today. I'm not quite this black on black kind of guy, but I thank Brooke for that. We remember that there's another side to us. It's not just about what happens on the ice, it's what happens off the ice. And little do they know, my 3 daughters, when I got home, we didn't talk about hockey. There was nothing about what we won or whether we lost. I thank the 3 of you for that you made my life a lot better. Thank you. A little boy from Hamilton, just down the road, starts his career at 7 years old, which is kind of late nowadays, right? And both my parents, both steel workers, both installed the values that I continue to do. You don't have to cry, Dad, it's okay. They were with me from day in, day out. My father was 30 years at the steel mill and then retired at 52 years old and followed me around ever since. Every game day at 4 o'clock, he got a call. We didn't talk about that game that was going to happen. We talked about other things. He got that call. Now, sometimes it was a little hard, you know, right? A collect call. I had a bag phone at one time. But I gave him a call at 4 o'clock every day. I thank you very, very much for your support and what you guys did. When you look at my career and where it starts in Hamilton, it goes to Oshawa. I played 2.5 years in Oshawa, which was an hour, 2 hours from my hometown. That was the stepping stone. Then is when I realized that maybe there's a chance. Maybe there is a chance that this guy is going to play in the NHL. Kind of slow at times, really slow lots of times. But as my final coach said to me, John Tortorella, slow as molasses, but for some reason he gets it done. And I believe that's where it all started in Oshawa. From Oshawa, I went to Buffalo. I thank Scotty Bowman for what he did to draft me. From then, great players in Buffalo. Great 12 years that I spent there were exciting times for me. I grew up in Buffalo. Lots of Buffalo friends are in the house. My girls were all born in Buffalo. I married a Buffalo girl. Good times in Buffalo. Really, really good times. Great players. Hall of Fame players. Gilbert Perreault, Phil Housley. Good players. When I was a young kid at 18 years old, I grew up there. I grew up in Buffalo. I left Buffalo and went to Toronto, played for my childhood team that I watched. I got to put on a Leaf uniform. When you think about my career, my first few years, my first 15 years in the NHL, I was an hour from my hometown. I probably lost money in all the tickets that I had to spend, for sure, but very, very fortunate that I was close to my family and friends for those times. Went on to New Jersey. Lou Lamoriello took a chance on me. Played under Jacques Lemaire. That I learned a lot from Jacques. I learned a lot about the game. Great players in New Jersey. I was kind of squeezed in between their cups. I was probably the reason why I guess we didn't win. But great players in Scott Stevens, Scott Niedermayer, obviously Marty Brodeur. Awesome years in New Jersey. Really, really enjoyed my time in Jersey. And then the wheel starts, as some of us know. We get on it. We get down that path where now you're trying to get games in. You're trying to play. You love the game. I go to Boston. I signed in Boston. I played with a guy by the name of Ray Bourque, who to me was probably the best player ever that I ever played with. I was only with him for a short time. I did get traded in the Ray Bourque deal. I was kind of the throw-in. Nobody really knows that. But getting traded with Ray Bourque, that has some perks. They sent a private jet to come and pick us up. I was only in Denver for a short period of time. I enjoyed Denver a lot. I didn't play in the West very often, but it was a great place to play. Winning attitude like no other on that team. You win the Stanley Cup or anything less is not good enough. And then I finally wake myself back down to Tampa. I have to thank my wife for that. And she knows it. I'm sitting in my cottage 2 hours, 3 hours north of here, ready to retire. And she still believes that I have a chance to play. Rick Dudley, John Tortorella, Craig Ramsey, Jay Feaster give me a chance to come down to Tampa Bay. And what happens in Tampa Bay is magical. Magical. I get there with some young horses that were just phenomenal. I realized right away that this team is going to be good. The LeCaviers, Richards, St. Louis, Happy Boulin, Dan Boyle, good players, awesome players, just needed to be put in the right direction. And as we all, our ultimate dream is to win the Stanley Cup. Is to win the Stanley Cup. That's why we play. That happened for me. There's no chance that you're thinking you're going to go to Tampa Bay and you're going to win, but we did some really good things there. I'm still a resident of Tampa Bay. I'm still working for the team. I'm enjoying my time in Tampa Bay. We're doing some really good things there. Jeff Vinik, his group, the leadership of Steve Yzerman has really helped our team, and it's been fun to watch. As you move into your next life, it's been really, really cool for me. It really has. I'm around the game. I'm enjoying things, and it almost comes full circle. And I can attest that every one of our Hall of Fame members in here will say that the friends and family that you meet along the way are the most important things. I played on a few teams. I've played with lots of players. I have lots of friends, and that's what hockey gives us. It's a very small fraternity, but at the same time, very large. And I am so, so proud to be up here today. Humbled by the fact that the players that are in there, that I'm part of this now, very, very humbled and honored to be there. And it wouldn't have been that way for all the players that I played with. Not many highlight goals, but at the same time, I had lots of help around me. So in closing, I will say this, that what this full circle of hockey is now complete. At the same time, we're all role models that young kids will see. And I'm very, very proud of that, and I will continue that tradition. Thank you very much.